Hello everyone and welcome back, hope we're having a great day and we're all doing well. In this video, I will be teaching you 10 tips in Rainbow Six Siege that will make you instantly better at the game. Even if you're a veteran player or a brand new one, you will learn something new in this video. So if you do learn something new and do enjoy the video, then consider subscribing since we are trying to hit 100k by the end of the year, and maybe drop a like and comment since it does help with the algorithm. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So for this first tip, I have to quickly explain how sound works in Rainbow Six Siege. Now sound in this game travels through objects. Objects such as hard walls, reinforced walls, soft walls, hatches, roofs, basically anything on a map including gadgets will have an effect on sound. And here's a very simple trick which will allow you to hear sound through reinforced walls a lot easier. And this is especially good when you're bandit tricking and you're trying to hear which side they are placing the gadget. And this is to simply just shoot a hole in the wall before you reinforce it, and this will allow sound to travel through so much easier. Now I'm going to explain how this works with Microsoft Paint, but basically assume that the orange wall is the soft wall and the red wall is the reinforcement. And we're going to have a black line, and this is going to represent sound. Now this black line is going to make its way through these two walls and come out the other side a little bit quieter. That is because it had to travel through two layers to get to the other side. However, if we make a hole in the soft wall, that means the sound has one less layer to travel through, meaning that you on the other side of the reinforcement will hear more on the other side of the wall. When you understand how sound works in this game, this does seem pretty simple, but it's not really something you think of immediately. Especially if you're going for a bandit trick, try and get in the habit of making some holes in the soft wall so you can allow sound to travel through to your ears much easier. This is something I have definitely gone in the habit of, and you don't even need to use a shotgun or an impact grenade. You can just shoot it out with a normal weapon since you don't have to make a massive hole, and as long as there's a relatively big enough hole for sound to travel through, you should be fine. So yeah, be sure to keep this tip in mind next time you are reinforcing a wall. For this next tip, now that we understand how sound works in the game, there's also another environmental aspect, and that is the lighting. If you're not aware, your operator does cast a shadow, and these shadows can be seen by the enemy team, and it can give away your position. One of the best examples of this, and this is a big mistake a lot of people will make, is when attacking the garage on Clubhouse. As you can see by the shadows being cast off a lot of the buildings and objects outside, the sun is sort of in the northeast area. That means if you're peeking the garage door from the northeast, you will be casting a shadow of your operator directly in the middle of the door. This means anyone playing in rafters and garage can see your shadow and know that you're about to swing from that side of the door. So in this situation, it is much safer to peek the garage door from the other side, since your shadow is not going to be shown to the enemy. This is one of the biggest examples of shadows in Rainbow Six Siege. However, this happens on every single map, so just be aware sometimes that your operators do cast shadows, and enemies will use that against you. And also be aware that your enemies do have shadows. I've seen so many people clearly see the shadow of an enemy which is about to swing a door, and I guess they just won't understand or even see it or react to it. Just keeping these little things in mind, such as sound and shadows, will just make you a better player instantly, because you're going to have an enemy who's not even going to understand how you knew they were there. This next one is really interesting, and honestly I'm kind of sad to admit I only learned this recently, but this is when playing vertical and shooting through floors, sometimes your bullets will get caught by the metal beams. But you can tell which way the metal beams will be going because they will always be going in the opposite direction of the way the floorboards are going. Now, of course that makes sense, that is how floors work. They need to be going the opposite way so they can be supported by the metal beams. But I guess me lacking common sense just never thought about this, and I honestly only really learned this recently. But I like to assume a lot of you aren't as stupid as me, and you already probably know this. But if this is new information to you, then use it to your advantage. I definitely know learning this tip has already made me better at vertical play. And to all the people in the comment sections which informed me about this, thank you very much. It just goes to show that even though I've been playing this game for 5 years, I can still learn new things. Now this next one is very similar to our first tip, but this has to do with glass on windows. Just like the example with a soft wall and a reinforcement, glass and barricades will also have the same effect on sound, acting as two layers for the sound to travel through. This means if glass is up on a window, anyone on either side of this window will not really hear what's happening. Glass is very good at muffling sound in this game. So for example, if you want to take a peek on a window and there's a glass and a barricade, sort of hit the barricade at the side so it doesn't hit the glass, and the person on the other side of this won't really hear you break that piece of the barricade, and you can get them by surprise. Now this is very defender-sided tip since defense do have the barricade on their side, but if you're an attacker on the outside, you have to break the glass first before you can even hit the barricade. So this is why as a defender you should use this little tip. But if you want to hear more of the outside, let's say for example you want to hear that someone is rappelling on the big window on top floor chalet, then make sure you break that piece of glass so you can hear them rappelling up very easily. As well as this is something you should get in the habit of doing when you play castle. When you castle off a window, the glass on the other side won't be broken, only the barricade will be. So something you should be doing when castle barricading a window is just breaking that piece of glass before you barricade it, whether you just punch it once or just take a shot with a shotgun and shoot it. Getting rid of that piece of glass before placing the barricade will give you a lot of sound, and you can hear what a lot of the attackers are doing on the other side of that castle barricade. Again, sound sometimes doesn't work the best in this game, but when it does, it is very strong. This one is quite simple if you are a high rank player and have been playing the game for a while, but this was a change which came a few years ago, so if you're a new player or you haven't played in a long time, you may not have realized this, but every single DMR in the game, including Glaz, since his gun is basically a DMR, can open up a soft hatch simply by shooting it. This means you can basically open up every soft hatch in the game without using any utility. You'll see a lot of people waste Sophia charges, Ash charges, breaching rounds, Sledge's hammer, buck shotgun shots to open up a soft hatch when they're not even realizing the person with the DMR standing beside them can open it up as well. They'd done this a few years ago since DMRs weren't really a desirable option. I personally love DMRs, I think they're actually broken and not enough people use them, but this was to basically give them another use and give them all a little buff. So just keep this in mind the next time you or your teammate is using a DMR, they can open up every single soft hatch. Next up we have another one for hatches, and this is just a little tip I think every new player should know, and that is never ever plant the diffuser on a soft hatch. If the hatch is reinforced, then yeah, you're okay to plant on it, since the only ones at the current point of upload that can open up a reinforced hatch is the attackers themselves. So unless your teammates are throwing, you should be okay to plant on a reinforced hatch. However, if you plant a diffuser on a soft hatch, that means that anyone can easily open up that hatch, and the moment the diffuser falls down the hatch, it gets instantly disabled and the defenders get a free win. They don't even have to touch it. So never place it on a soft hatch, because all a defender needs to do, even if there's only 1 second left on the clock, is walk over, shoot the hatch open, and they get a free round win. And just keep this in mind if you are a defender in a post-plant situation, and you do see that an attacker has done this, quickly try and open that hatch. Use a shotgun, use impact nades, anything to get that hatch open, and you can use their mistake to clutch a round. Next up we have a tip for punch holes. Now, people may criticize you for using punch holes, but they are a viable aspect of the game which should be used if you need to, and I'll admit I use them sometimes to get a kill on the enemy. But the downside of a punch hole is if an attacker swings that corner and they see a single punch hole on the wall, then they're just going to start shooting it as much as they can, and the chances are they'll hit you in the head and get a free kill. So if you are going to stand behind a soft wall and look for a punch hole, then just make a bunch of punch holes on that wall. You'll see this happen in Pro League, and basically the reason why people do this is so if an attacker peeks them, the attacker doesn't know which hole you're on. Instead of turning a corner and seeing one punch hole and pre-firing it, they turn a corner and they see 16 punch holes, they're not going to know which one you're on. And if they shoot the wrong punch hole, you'll have enough time to react and shoot them back. Basically, you're just trying to confuse the enemies and give them a lower chance of winning. Of course, you can use punch holes as an attacker, you're just more likely to use it as a defender, but this trick can be used on both sides. So yeah, standing behind one punch hole is pretty obvious where your head is going to be and you're going to die pretty fast, but if you just put a bunch of them, it's going to turn into a game of whack-a-mole and they're not going to know what one to shoot. This next one may seem pretty simple, but I play Brava a lot and I have to tell you people this. Please remember which team color is yours and which one is the enemy. Not too long ago, Ubisoft changed how colors and team colors work in this game. Before, the team color just corresponded to whatever side you were on. However, now you pick your team color in the accessibility settings and you can choose which one is your team and which one is the enemy team. I like to make my teammates blue and I like to make my enemies orange. That's just sort of the classic Siege look in my opinion. And with these team color changes, a lot of gadgets got updated as well. Before, Aruni's gates would simply just be red for everyone looking at them. However, now Aruni's gate color corresponds to what color you are on. So if I'm an attacker and my color is blue for attack, the defensive Aruni gate will appear as orange for me. However, if I'm on the defensive team, the Aruni gate will then appear as blue, since that is my team's team color. So if I'm playing as Brava, and we'll use the Aruni gate as an example again, when that is a defensive Aruni gate, that is orange. But when I hack it as Brava, that Aruni gate will then turn blue. But despite me even calling this out to my teammates, they'll start shooting gadgets into the Aruni gate to try and burn it. And then I'm saying, why are we wasting utility? That is our Aruni gate. And it just seems like people haven't understood the team color system, or just aren't focusing enough, or just don't understand it. Pick your team colors and stick with them. Don't constantly change them about. I've always had blue as my friendly one, so now I know anytime I see a blue light on the camera, a gadget which is blue, anything which is emitting the color blue, I know that that's friendly. And now know as well, anything which is a mint orange is an enemy's one. This was a much needed update by Ubisoft, and I didn't really think about it in the past, but it is very helpful now, especially going forward with all these new gadgets and Brava being able to hack stuff. But I just feel like a lot of people haven't really taken this change seriously, and it's leading to a lot of friendly gadgets being destroyed. So please, I beg, just learn your team colors. It's going to make you so much better at the game. This next one is a very simple one, but I see it happen all the time, and that is simply don't full sprint unless you definitely need to. I'll see so many people in situations where they're sort of stealthy and the enemies don't know that they're there, and then they'll just start full sprinting, giving away their position. And as well as this, when you're full sprinting, it takes longer to then ADS down your gun, meaning it's going to take longer for you to shoot back. Especially if you're in sight, and even in a post-plant situation, you should not be sprinting unless you've killed everyone and you're sprinting to that diffuser. The amount of times I'll see people in a close quarter situation and then they'll full sprint, I just instantly put my hands on my head and I'm like, well, we've lost this round. Keep your gun close and slow it down a little bit. When you're full sprinting, you're at your most vulnerable. So the fact that people are voluntarily doing this when they know an enemy is near them, I will never understand. And the final tip I have, which is one that made me an instantly better player the moment I started to do it more, and I started to win more and more rounds, is just take advantage when you get it. I'll see so many people do a really good job at clearing out a room or killing someone around the corner, and the moment that person is dead, they won't do anything about it. They'll stand in their position and hopefully try and wait for another defender to maybe swing them, or maybe another attacker to come around that corner. They won't take control of that position. The moment I realized I was getting better at this game and winning more was when I started to take of advantages the moment they occurred. I don't care how many gadgets are in a certain room. I don't care where a defender might be. The moment I take someone out in a certain position, I'm taking control of that. So many people are scared to take positions these days that when someone's teammate dies, especially when you're on defense, a lot of the time they just won't expect an attacker to take that position for another minute. But when you as an attacker clear someone in a room, if you take that room instantly, you're going to take the defense by surprise because they're not going to expect a full push directly from that moment. You'll find me nowadays, even in a 5v5 situation, the moment I even kill someone near sight, I'll hop in the window and I'll take site control as fast as possible. That will make you such a stronger player, and you just have to take control of those positions the moment you've done it. You've done the hard work. You've cleared the shield. You've killed the operator. The longer you wait to push that position, the more opportunities you're giving the defensive team to take that position back once again, and this time you're going to have to do the same thing, but you've already used all your grenades or your gadget. Just have a bit of confidence and realize when you take out an enemy, you have an advantage there. And yes, it doesn't mean you'll be as successful every single time, but to me, that's always better than holding back and waiting for another minute and a half and letting the time run out. And with that, those were 10 tips to instantly get better at Rainbow Six Siege. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Which one of these 10 tips were your favorite? And if you learned anything new, which one shocked you the most? Be sure to drop a like on this video if you did enjoy, dislike it if you did not, subscribe if you're new. As for catch you all later, I love you all, stay safe, peace.